idea came about, I had a meeting with the guys to decide what we're going to do for some of these photos, and we're just throwing around ideas, and we both had been sitting on idea to do something underwater. So, and I thought, I think, the guys look great underwater, and with some of the songs I'd been hearing, one of them I think Liquid Air, and I thought that'd be really good. And then the guys had an idea that was a bit cultish, and obviously when we started talking about underwater, it was perfect, like they're wearing all black and really oversized shirts, and went from there sort of working, and it was very organic. We were both totally on the same page, so it was very easy to come up with. I thought I was so prepared because I'd done all my research, I had the equipment, and I'm like, this is going to be so easy, and a few people had said, I think what you're doing is quite easy, and on the day, just so many other challenges arose, and it was just such a learning curve, and to not only remember how to use scuba gear, because I've got my ticket, but I hadn't used it within something like 4 years, so I've got the scuba gear on, and then I'm trying to use a camera underwater and trying to remember how to breathe and do all that sort of stuff, and it was quite, there's a bit of anxiety for that for a start. But I didn't actually think about, once I was down there, that was my easy part done, and I didn't actually think about the guys having to swim over the top of me, the physical effort they would have to do, and keep doing that over and over again, because when I was down there, they would do it 4 times, and then it seemed to be getting less and less each time, and then they'd all have to swim off, and I'd be thinking, what are they doing? Just keep going. But it was really tiring, and I didn't sort of factor that in. That you're holding your breath, floating, and then you're coming back up again, but your physical exertion to keep treading water and do that again. So, and then because they were treading water and we're in a dive pool, and I was using a flash on a camera, the bubbles, now that I think about it, obviously makes perfect sense, but I didn't really factor in the bubbles that they were kicking up. I knew they would kick up some bubbles, but not as much. And then I was having to hold my breath, which you shouldn't do when you're using scuba gear, and my on-camera flash was just reflecting everything, and there just seemed to be so many more bubbles. But in my original vision, I was sort of thinking something a lot more dead and eerie, but I had to work with what we got, and I kind of like the bubbles. It really adds to where they are, and it adds something different. So it was a win and lose. But shooting someone from underneath is so much harder. When I got on more of an angle, there was no bubbles. There was hardly any bubbles at all. So shooting underneath someone was a massive challenge. And 6 people again. I would never try and shoot 6 people again at the same time. I would shoot them separately and then comp it in Photoshop. There's just so many variables.
So in closing, were you happy with the shot in the end?
Yeah, I'm stoked. I think it's not 100% of what I was after, but I think it works for the cover, and the guys are happy with it. And yeah, I mean, sometimes things don't work out as they should, but you get some surprising results, so it's all good.
And my dreams have always been my